You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, it's Thursday the 19th of September 2024. You're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. Sorry I dropped a couple of emergency podcasts over the last couple of days. I have these occasional sort of blips in my mental health, and last 2 days were days I just could not get motivated to do anything at all. So didn't get any writing done, didn't get anything done to the house, just didn't achieve anything at all apart from eating too much. And I was going to say watching telly, but even that I was getting bored, and I was like channel hopping, or I'd start watching a movie and going, oh, this is crap, and turn it off and try and find something I was interested in. The only thing I did successfully manage to watch was the first 3 episodes of season 13 of Doctor Who, the new version, which was the 6-part Jodie Whittaker story Flux. So the whole season was effectively one story. And I watched the first 3 episodes of that, and it was surprisingly good. I thought the first 2 episodes were very good. The 3rd episode did feel a little bit like filler. But yeah, it was all right. Certainly much better than anything they've done in the recent season, which I thought was thoroughly disappointing. I did enjoy the anniversary specials, although if that was your new entry point onto the series, I don't think you would have really got it, because they're basically picking up a story from 15 years ago that people who've been watching the show that long will get immediately, and people that aren't, just sticking in an explanation at the beginning, which they effectively did, doesn't give you the love of the characters, and doesn't give you that buy-in that you would have had if you had watched the original episodes in 2009, 2010. But anyway, that's that. So yes, I can't really say an awful lot about what I've achieved today for writing, because I've achieved precisely nothing. And so I'm still as far away from starting chapter 37 as I was 3 or 4 days ago, which is annoying, but I do have moments where my creativity is harder to locate, and the last 2 days, probably the last 5 actually, have been more like that, although it is, when I'm working, it's not such a big deal, because sometimes I struggle anyway. So I've now got 6 days of work. Later today, I fly out to Amsterdam and back, and then I've got a night stop in Copenhagen. Then tomorrow I fly back from Copenhagen and then fly to Istanbul. And then on the 3rd day, I just fly back from Istanbul, and we get back quite late in the evening. And then the day after that, I've got a 3-day trip to Boston, but it's a good one, because although it's a later departure, it means we get 2 local nights, which is unusual for the United States. So I'll live with that. So yeah, I don't know how much work I'm going to get done book-wise, and I still haven't totally worked out what I needed to do, or what I need to do with the chapter breakdown, because I think my original plan, which was chapter 37, something happens, chapter 38, chapter of death, chapter 39, something else happens. I think I've established in my head that isn't going to work, and that what I actually need to do is something more along the lines of put 37 and 38 together, don't have 2 sort of climaxes to the story, just have one, which I spread across 2 chapters, and then do the chapter of death immediately before the epilogue. And I think that's probably the way forward. But it's all a bit... you look at my original chapter plan, and there's absolutely no reference to the fact that the big sticking point is they need to get Gaia, the spirit that's inside the tree trapped in the Arboretum, that they need to get that out into the main network, because it's now going to, or they are now going to advocate for humanity not being totally wiped out. They're going to advocate for Idrisil's plan, which is to allow the designated survivors to survive. So I think before I do any writing, I need to work out exactly what's going to happen in those last 2 chapters in my head. And I think one of them is going to have to be a military assault by Carl Tucker and his forces, which are now, of course, the army, because he's Prime Minister. on the Arboretum. And that's going to have to I don't know. Yeah, I kind of need to work out what's got to happen in what order. Chapter of Death, as I've said before, is just going to be a series of people dying, and then the epilogue. I've pretty much in my head. It's already written. It's just a case of putting it onto paper or onto a screen and onto paper. So yeah, it's all right actually. I'm just not quite sure exactly how and where I want to go with those two chapters, and that's a bit of a sticking point. But yeah, I mean, I could start work on some of the chapter of Death elements I've wanted, because they're actually separate from the rest of the story. They're just telling you what happens to certain characters. I also need to work out which characters are significant enough to get their own, sort of few pages in that most happy of chapters. So that's what I'm doing today. I doubt I'll be writing today, because I've got 3 flights to do. Tomorrow is more likely, because we don't leave Copenhagen until the afternoon, and then when I'm in Istanbul, we don't leave Istanbul until the late afternoon. So anyway, that'll do. That's me. I shall be back at some point in the near future with more of this blah. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.